On behalf of the chair, Senator Warner.
Thank you, Mr. Quasi-Chairman.
I am in charge.
That explains a lot.
Homage to
That
Al Haig.
explains a lot. Do you remember the last guy that said that?
Yeah, Al Haig.
Al Haig, yeah. Do any of the panel remember Al Haig? Okay. Glad to see a few adults. Governor Bowman, it's great to see you again. I appreciated our conversation we had earlier in the week. I want to drill down on a couple of things we talked about. First and foremost is the importance of maintaining the independence of the Fed. And, clearly when we've seen the level of erratic decision-making coming out of the administration over the last couple of weeks on tariffs, the notion that there's some reasonable group of adults in the room that will be a backstop, I think has to be the Fed. And I think, again, monetary policy would be you guys' purview and not based upon political pressure. Can you, again, commit to me that you will stand up for the independence of the Fed, even if that means going against Mr. Vogt and OMB?
Absolutely, Senator Warner. It is important that we maintain our independence with respect to monetary policy and the responsibilities that we have that are related to the economy.
Well, if the what happens if OMB suddenly try to put a requirement in place that said the Fed has to check on all their rulemaking process with the White House before you make your rulemaking? That would be also part of the independence of the Fed in my mind, and I hope you would say that would be inappropriate.
Well, I think that we haven't seen that happen at this point, and I think that
the key word in that sentence may be "at this point," but go ahead.
No, but I appreciate that concern, and I agree with the principles of cost-benefit analysis and ensuring that we've identified a problem that needs to be solved and that we need to provide an analysis that supports rulemakings that we put forward. So I wouldn't think that we would have challenges with any rulemakings that we might like to engage in.
Well, again, I think we are in uncharted territory, and I imagine you're going to get confirmed, but I just I think you got unanimous confirmation the last time, but boy, oh boy, it's a different time and different administration than the first Trump administration, and that independence of the Fed has got to be maintained. And I know my friend from North Carolina believes that as well. One of the other things I wanted to touch on, and we raised in our conversation, was the better usage of the discount window. I think before we start adding other regulations, making sure that the tools we've used are fully used. And we understand the stigma that comes sometimes by using the discount window, but having some either occasional use or demonstration that you have got that ability to use those tools. And you also, I thought, had some good ideas about making sure that the collateral that would potentially might be at the Federal Home Loan Bank, Federal Home Loan Banks might be able to be kind of easily moved back and forth to the Fed. Can you just talk a little bit more about the usage of the discount window?
Thank you, Senator. The discount window is a very important tool for the banking system and for the Federal Reserve. It is critically important that it operates appropriately and efficiently. So that's one of the things that we've engaged in over the last year or so is to work with our reserve banks to ensure that we have a process for usage of the discount window that is appropriately speedy, and that it's used in a way that can be of assistance in a timely way. I appreciate that you are referring to our conversation about the collateral. Generally, the FHLB provides liquidity to the entirety of the banking system and a few others in the financial system as well. It is very important, since most every bank in this country uses the FHLB system for liquidity on a daily basis in some cases, that there's a process that's effective and efficient to be able to transfer that collateral if there is a need to use the discount window in a way that's...
Well, I may want to push you more on kind of a mandatory occasional use, episodic use. I just think this is, SVB, as we all know, is violation of Banking Rules 101, but it was also a case that they were totally unprepared to use that tool. I want to make sure I get in one last question before my time runs out. Mr. Hyde, the last administration took some, I think, important steps on trying to limit spyware. And we know that has been used on surveillance of American diplomats. As we all also know, spyware, you can insert malware without actually having control of the device. I'm really concerned about this since, candidly, we've got senior administration officials making classified information on signal chats that, by the way, we don't even have knowledge yet from the administration whether they have taken those phones back and made sure that malware was not inserted, because we know China and Russia is actively trying to work on penetrating Signal and other encrypted apps. If you're confirmed, how do we make sure that you at BIS will make sure that we keep those restrictions on this kind of spyware in place that the last administration put in place?
Yeah, Senator, thank you for the question, and I appreciate your leadership on this topic. I know this is something you cared about for a long time. I know we're short on time, so I'll just shortly say the Department of Commerce, as you know, has an authority called ICTS that allows it to restrict foreign adversary technology products in the United States if it poses a variety of risks, to include cybersecurity risks. President Trump, in his sort of America First trade policy announcement on day one, specifically called for review and strengthening of that authority to start adjudicating and using that authority more. I think the last administration started off right, kind of looking at things like interconnected vehicles and stuff. But there's a lot of devices, as you know, that are still in our economy that pose these risks. So look forward to working with you and your staff on that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.